Thanks for tuning into the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with more hip hop news. And of course, in a recent interview, Andre 3000 said that he was working on new music, and most people are speculating or hoping that this new music that he's working on is a rap album. Now, if you know anything about Andre 3000 over the past couple of years, he has been talking about music and why he hasn't released hip hop music. And he said it specifically that he's not been releasing any rap music is because he is 50 now and he can't rap anymore because he's been aged out, essentially, is what he said. Now, we know this isn't true because there are a lot of hip hop artists in the game right now that are over 40 and over 50 that are still striving and still have a fan base and still are relevant in the game. Whether you have Clips, the duo Clips, you have Freddie Gibbs, you have rappers like um, you have a ton of rappers, which I had a whole list. Oh, Nas, Lil Wayne, Kanye. They're all over 40 and 50 years old and they're still relevant. They still have fan bases. They still can tour. They're still releasing music at a high clip. And for the most part, getting very good sales for what the time is. So I don't think, that statement was accurate. And I talked about this before in an earlier podcast that I've done before. But unfortunately, I don't think he's releasing rap music if especially if he's not specifically saying it or there hasn't been any leaks of somebody saying that, "Hey, I worked on this song with him." Of course, there's NDA and stuff like that, and people keep that thing secret sacred, but for the most part, I don't think it's a rap album because he mentioned working with a guitarist, and that lets me know that this will be some kinda instrumentation album because he's done the flute album. Maybe this will be a piano album because he plays multiple instruments. So I believe he's starting to get into his dotage now, and he's starting to get into instrumentation and jazz and all these other types of music, and I think he's passed hip hop by. Now, it's an unfortunate thing for us fans of Outkast and for fans of Andre 3K because of his features and what he's done with Outkast, and he has all of that music. So if he never puts out a projects again, um, I'm okay with it because he's put his time in. But the selfish fan in me wants to hear what a solo album from Andre 3K sounds like because we heard the album Love Below and what that sounded like, and it was something different, but it was very good, and it didn't feel like he went out his way or did something veered off from what his usual self is. But for him to release a rap project around this time would be phenomenal because the last time I remember hearing Andre 3K rap was on the Donda album, and it was a song that he had with Kanye, of course, and it was phenomenal. He was talking like he was rapping like he was talking like he usually does, and it was just he didn't lose a step. It actually sounded like he got better from those days and the Outcast days. So he's one of those rare artists that can drop whenever, and we're gonna go run and hear it. He's pretty much in that same bag of a Frank Ocean or Lauryn Hill. Like he gave us some great music, and we're clamoring for it, and we're never probably gonna get it again. So we just have to enjoy the catalog that was already out there. So it's very tough, especially for us fans, is from a selfish standpoint because we want our artists to experiment with other music and we want our artists uh, to try new things, but at the same time, we always want them to go back to what we know them for and what we love them for. Uh, but they don't always go that route. And there's few artists that actually do it. That's why you have to salute a guy like Jim Jones, who has been giving us music since the early 2000s, and he always comes back to it. He's doing a podcast, he's doing fashion stuff, he's doing TV stuff, but he always comes back to the music. And it just shows that was his true love. Because a lot of these artists, what I get upset about is a lot of these artists do so much to get signed and get recognized. And then once they get that light, they just started to venture off into other things and never go back to the music. Even Rick Ross, I commend him too for doing what he's done because he's done so many things in business, so many things in other worlds, but he always come back to the music. But a lot of these artists don't do that. They go out of their ways to do other things and never come back. Especially when you work so hard to get to that spot to where you can get your music out there. But then once the music is out there, you don't give the people what they want. I don't know, it seems like they're taking the music for granted. Not to say that Andre 3K is, but a lot of these artists are starting to do that now, whether they're taking advantage of a genre or just music in general, that's using it as a stepping stone to get to places. So it's very disturbing to see. But if it's their prerogative, it's their prerogative. But it's just if you work so hard for something, it just seems like you would always come back to it. You would, do what you need to do for the genre at least. Because I think we do need another Andre 3K album to get us back on our feet from a hip hop standpoint. Because we don't have a lot of promising artists behind them. Because when you look at the forecast of artists that are out there, everything now has become emo or it's become very heavy auto tune influence, and it's not a lot of timeless music that's coming out. Um, and the artists under 25, there's not that many. I mean, I thought about like Big X the Plug and Doechii and Baby Keem and artists like that, and maybe Flo Milli, but a lot of those artists it's not many artists under like 30 or 25 that we see creating a long career for themselves or a very successful career for themselves. Because now you can put out the music without a label, but that doesn't guarantee you have the fan base, so you're keeping up with the same type of quality of music. And we don't have that anymore. We don't have like what the 90s had in the early 2000s, where people built these long careers over 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years even really don't have that anymore. But if Andre does release an album, I hope there's some kind of reunite. He reunites with Big Boy in some kind of way. Of course, hopefully he'll have a lot of features on this album and this project, but I don't think it'll come out. But all we need is 10 tracks. 10 tracks, Andre. Is all we need. We don't need that much. We just need 10 tracks. One of them can be an interlude and one can be an outerlude. So we only really need like 8 tracks from you something, even if it's an EP. I just feel like we need to hear what's on his mind about topics because he's very insightful when it comes to like social events and what's going on in the world today. And I think we do need that in some kind of way. Because while he is kind of a conscious rapper, but he can give us a pop side as well because of the music that he's given us already. So tell me your thoughts about Andre 3K working on new music and what you think that is. And until next time, see you next time.